Right. And do I have Hisham Abu Garbi here?
He's present. I think he's off to the side, Your Honor.
Excellent. Thank you. All right. Mr. Abu Garbi, you have been charged with...
And Your Honor, I'll waive the reading of the charges, please.
Okay. Thank you.
And while this is occurring, the deputies and Marine unit are doing a great job trying to determine the tide and when they're occurring and what the tide patterns are to see, hey, how far of a search pattern do we need? The divers are still in the water. As you guys were out there covering, it was a long several days as we were trying to locate our two victims, especially now knowing that we have one victim, the other one should still be in the nearby area.
Zamel Limon was last seen at 9 in the morning on April 16, 2026, stepping out of his apartment near the University of South Florida campus in Tampa. Naida Bristi was last seen 3 hours later, walking through a campus science building, umbrella in hand, heading to meet a friend who was going to return her glasses. Neither of them made it to the end of that day. Within 24 hours, the people who loved them started making calls. By the next afternoon, those calls became missing persons reports. Within 2 weeks, both of their bodies have been pulled out of Tampa Bay in garbage bags. And the man police say put them there, he was their roommate. Before we get into what happened inside that apartment, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now. Tap the bell icon so you never miss an episode, and drop a like on this video. This case deserves every single pair of eyes it can get. You are watching Crime Files, and we do not do surface level here. We go all the way in. Now let's talk about who Zamel and Naida actually were, because the news coverage spent a lot of time on the horror and not nearly enough time on the people. Zamel Limon was 27 years old. He grew up in Bangladesh and came to the United States in the fall of 2024 to pursue his doctoral degree in geography, environmental science, and policy at USF. His thesis was on using generative AI to track the shrinking wetlands of South Florida. He was days away from defending that thesis when he was killed. Days. His professors described him as someone who was bright, humble, and genuinely wanted to make the world better. His brother Zubair Ahmed described him as a decent, simple person who always had a smile on his face. He had plans to go back to Bangladesh over the summer to see his family. He had plans to become a professor. He had a whole life lined up in front of him. Naida Bristi was also 27. She came to USF in the fall of 2025 from Bangladesh, where she had already earned a master's degree in engineering and a bachelor's degree in applied chemistry. She was studying chemical engineering at the doctoral level. Her professor at USF later remembered her for her quiet smile, her soft-spoken way, and the fact that she loved music and singing. She carried an umbrella everywhere to protect herself from the Florida sun. She was meticulous, thoughtful, and driven in a way that only people who have worked incredibly hard to get somewhere truly understand. Zamel and Naida were not strangers. They had started as close friends, and over time, feelings grew. According to Zamel's family, the two had talked about a future together. Marriage was on the table. They came to Tampa to build something, and someone took all of it away. Now let's talk about Hisham Abu Garbi, because understanding who he was before April 16th is the only way to understand how something this calculated was even possible. Hisham was 26 years old, a native-born American citizen who had enrolled at USF between 2021 and 2023, pursuing a management degree. He never finished it. He dropped out. By the time Zamel moved into the Avalon Heights apartment complex near campus, Hisham was already living there, no longer a student, just a former resident who somehow remained in student housing. The two of them shared the apartment with a third roommate, and from the very beginning, Zamel knew something was off. He told his family back in Bangladesh that Hisham was unsocial, unpleasant, and barely ever left his room. His brother Zubul later said Zamel described behavior as almost psychopathic. He did not know exactly what to do about it, but then things escalated. Zamel and the third roommate discovered that Hisham had a prior criminal record. At that point, they went Avalon Heights Management and formally filed a complaint. They documented their concerns. They asked for something to be done. That was 15 days before Zamel went missing. Nothing was done. Now here's the part that makes this case so much more disturbing than just the violence. What investigators found when they dug into Hisham Abug Harbia's history revealed someone who had been unraveling for years and whose family had been desperately trying to sound the alarm for just as long. Back in May 2023, 3 years before the murders, Hisham's own brother recorded him during an argument and watched him punch him in the face hard enough to knock him to the ground. During the same incident, Hisham kicked his mother in the back, causing her to fall. Police were called. Hisham was arrested on a misdemeanor battery charge and placed under Florida's Baker Act, which allows for an involuntary 72-hour mental health hold. During that encounter with police, Hisham made statements that stopped people cold. He told officers, "I am son of Mary," and "I created my brother. I am his God." A family member later wrote in a victim impact statement to the court that Hisham had once been a cool guy, a supportive eldest son, until he began using medical marijuana. The family member wrote that it had turned him mentally ill, with hurtful behavior and anger problems that were tearing the family apart. They said they had filed a petition for involuntary substance abuse treatment. They begged the court to help him. The misdemeanor charges from 2023 were eventually dropped after Hisham completed a diversion program. But the brother, Ahmad, later told CBS News something that is hard to read without feeling the weight of it. He said he had dropped the charges because he thought the legal process was going to cost him too much money. He said he regretted that choice immediately. There were 2 domestic violence protection orders filed against Hisham by family members in 2023. A judge granted one and denied the other. Ahmad told reporters that his brother would sometimes scream in the middle of the night that he was God and everyone should bow down to him. He said plainly that Hisham should never have been living with roommates. He should have been living alone, or not at all. None of this reached Avalon Heights. None of this reached USF. And so Zamel Limon moved into that apartment without knowing any of it. Now here is where this case takes a turn that feels like something out of a horror film, except it is completely real. 3 weeks before Zamel and Nahida disappeared, Hisham Abug Harbi started shopping. On April 7th, he ordered duct tape from Amazon. On April 11th, he ordered fire starter, charcoal, trash bags, and lighter fluid. He also placed a DoorDash order for Lysol wipes and Febreze. And on April 15th, the day before the murders, financial records show that a fake beer was delivered to his address from Amazon. He was not done planning. He opened ChatGPT. On April 13th, 3 days before Zamel and Nahida were last seen alive, Hisham typed the following question into the artificial intelligence chatbot. What happens if a human is put in a black garbage bag and thrown in a dumpster? The chatbot responded that it sounded dangerous. So Hisham typed back, how would they find out? That exchange alone tells you everything you need to know about the level of premeditation here. But he kept going. He asked ChatGPT whether a car's VIN number could be changed. He asked if he could keep a gun at home without a license. He searched whether his neighbors would be able to hear a gunshot. He asked whether anyone had ever survived a sniper bullet to the head. Investigators later found at least 10 separate ChatGPT queries between April 13th and April 23rd, painting a picture of someone mentally rehearsing a plan he had already decided to carry out. April 16th arrived. Zamel was seen at the apartment at 9 in the morning. Nahida was seen on campus surveillance at noon, heading to meet a friend she never reached. That evening, Hisham told police he drove both of them to Clearwater. He initially denied it entirely, then changed his story when investigators confronted him with location data, showing his phone, and Limon's phone had both been in Clearwater at the same time. He said he dropped them off. He said he came home. He said he did not go anywhere else. That was a lie. Phone and GPS data showed Hisham's car crossing the Howard Franklin Bridge in the early hours of April 17th, stopping at a location that would later prove to be exactly where Zamel's body was found. Just before he made that drive, at 12:26 in the morning, he had asked ChatGPT one more question. Our cars checked at the Hillsborough River State Park. The third roommate later told investigators that on the night of April 16th and into the early morning hours of April 17th, they had seen Hisham using a shared cart to move large cardboard boxes from his room to the trash compactor on the property. When investigators searched that compactor, they found Zamel's wallet, his student ID, his glasses, his credit card, and clothing that appeared to be soaked in blood. They also found Nahida's pink phone case, Inside the apartment, what investigators found was not just blood. It was a scene. Luminol-based spray revealed blood starting at the entry foyer, traveling through the kitchen, down the hallway, and into Hisham's bedroom. In his bedroom, there were 2 distinct human-shaped stains soaked into the carpet, with pattern consistent with smearing and dragging. The technology was precise enough that investigators could see the outline of a human body curled in the fetal position on the floor next to Hisham's bed. In Zamel's bedroom, Naitha's sneakers and umbrella were found. Her campus ID and credit cards were tucked into a coin purse on the floor. Blood from the passenger seat of Hisham's car was later matched to Naitha. Zamel's body was found on April 24th, wrapped in heavy-duty contractor trash bags, left on the shoulder of the Howard Franklin Bridge. The medical examiner found multiple stab wounds, including a deep wound to his lower back that had penetrated his liver. His hands and ankles had been bound. Naitha's body was found on April 26, discovered by a kayaker whose fishing line snagged on a trash bag floating in the mangroves just south of where Zamel had been found. Her remains were in an advanced state of decomposition. She was identified through DNA and dental records on April 30th. Both of them stabbed. Both of them wrapped in garbage bags. Both of them dumped in the same body of water. When Hisham was arrested on the morning of April 24th, it came after deputies responded to a domestic violence call at his family's home in Lutz. They arrived to find he had allegedly grabbed his younger sister, tried to forcibly kiss her, and was physically overpowering her when she tried to leave the room. He was wearing only a towel. His family was removed to safety. He barricaded himself inside. A SWAT team, a drone, a robot, and crisis negotiators all responded. And then, more than an hour later, Hisham Abugharbi walked out with his hands up, still in the towel. The sheriff later said that when investigators presented Hisham with the evidence against him, he showed absolutely no emotion, no reaction at all. The sheriff called him callous. He is now charged with 2 counts of first-degree premeditated murder with a weapon. He is being held without bond. The state attorney has said the death penalty is on the table. As for the motive, still officially unknown. And that is the part that keeps pulling people back to this case. Because when you lay out everything that Hisham did, the weeks of preparation, the purchases, the ChatGPT searches, the fake beard, the cleaning supplies, the planning around the bridge, you understand that this was not a moment of rage. This was a decision he made before Zamel and Naitha even knew anything was wrong. The question that has no answer yet is why. What did 2 foreign doctoral students, thousands of miles from home, working toward the kind of future most people only dream about, do to end up in his crosshairs? Zamel's family has demanded the death penalty. They have also demanded accountability from Avalon Heights, asking why a man with a documented history of violence and active criminal charges was allowed to share space with other students. The apartment complex has since been removed from USF's official off-campus housing listings. A petition calling for safety reforms has gathered hundreds of signatures. A GoFundMe raised tens of thousands of dollars within days to help both families in Bangladesh with funeral costs. On May 1st, 2026, hundreds of students, professors, and administrators stood in a winding line on USF's campus and waited to place white carnations between 2 photographs. Naitha in a royal blue sari, Zamel in a coral pink kurta with a bright green stole. People who had traveled 8,000 miles to build a life, remembered now in flowers left by people who were still trying to make sense of what happened. So let me ask you this. What does it say about the systems that are supposed to protect people that a formal complaint filed 15 days before 2 murders was not enough to move anyone to action? What does it say that a man whose own family tried repeatedly to have him committed and treated was able to pass a background check, live among students, and plan 2 murders over the course of weeks without a single intervention? And here's the one that really sits with me. When someone spent that much time preparing, buying supplies, researching body disposal, ordering a disguise, what exactly are they telling us about how they see the people around them? Zamel Limon and Naitha Bristi were not just victims. They were researchers. They were dreamers. They were someone's whole world, living in a country that was supposed to give them a future. They deserve better. And so does every international student who trusts that the institution they chose and the housing it recommends will keep them safe. If this story moved you, please like this video right now. Subscribe to Crime Files so you never miss a case. Click the bell icon so YouTube actually notifies you when we post. And share this one. Zamil and Naida's families are thousands of miles away, still waiting for justice. The least we can do is make sure the world does not forget their names.